Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rubbin Racing Podcast. My name is Large. I'm joined in Chicago by two of the most esteemed gentlemen in Barstool. Ask anybody. You want to know people who get respect from the time they walk in the door until the time they clock out? It's going to be Spider and it's going to be Quiggs. They're looking as handsome as fuck. The fourth person that's involved, you're damn right. The fourth person that's involved after having a week off to deal with some family issues, and again, condolences to the family, but it's nice to see his overly hairy face staring right at me. It's Manoli Stavrakis behind the ones and twos, the voice of God. Welcome back to you, Manoli. How are you doing, brother?
Doing great, brother. Happy to be back.
Yeah, so we had some good times without you. I don't mind saying that. Down in Dega, and then coming back up and recording. Thanking Booze for filling in. Thanking Liam for filling in, helping us out. But Manoli's back, and with him back, he's going to be dropping the Dega vlog. We're going to have a little video of our good time at Talladega. Get to Talladega. It's a bucket list thing. It's a bucket list thing, Spider. Is it one and done for most people, do you think? Do you think, like, Mardi Gras? I went to Mardi Gras. I'll never go back to fucking Mardi Gras, but I'm glad I experienced it. I can go back to every year because we have a very cushy spot. What do you think for the average person? They go there, break their Dega cherry, then maybe not go back?
No, definitely not. I think the retention rate is probably like upwards of 70-75%, especially with the campgrounds in the infield. We were lucky to be at Talladega 2 years straight now, and just rubbing shoulders with the people camping beside us. They were also there for 2 years straight. So off that logic, I'm going to say they were there for more than just the 2 years that I realized that they were there. Like, they're probably there since, 2000. Who knows? Mm-hmm. It could go back decades, generations that their family has camped at that campground. But I think that Talladega is something that you have to do year after year and keep going back to. Last year, we met FDNY firefighters that do the same thing. They clear their schedule annually to make the trip down to Talladega. So I think that a lot of people make it an effort to be there year after year, and it's not just like a bucket list one and done. Okay, I can check this off. Let me move on. Especially NASCAR. I speak for both of us, Large. One of the reasons why we love it is that first race we went to really hooked us in and reeled us in. So combining those two things, I think Talladega is definitely probably a spot that people frequent and not just go to once in their life.
What are you saying, Mano?
First off, vlog's going to be great. Looking through the clips, everything's looking
good stuff, right?
You guys look like you had a blast. I'm honestly jealous. Also, told me Daytona is a Super Bowl of NASCAR, one of the biggest events. Talladega must be. I think I'm cursed. I don't think I'm ever going to be allowed to actually go to a race at this point. I'm over 2.
So Manoli, this is his first year with us at Rubbin Racing. He came down to Daytona, and we didn't even get to see a single lap of racing because of the torrential downpours. And with our schedule, we couldn't stay through past Sunday. And then, obviously, he had some stuff come up where he had to cancel Dega last minute. We'll get you to a good one. But I will tell you, there are levels to this shit. So if, let's say, you're more of a woke, snowflakey guy like Quiggs, it's be one of those things where you need to be, cushy, right? Like, but you can get as deep and gritty as you want. I don't think I'd be able to do that. I'm 50-something years old, 59, 62, whatever the fuck I am. I don't think I could do that camp out shit. The fact that we have the RV and stuff, and you guys will see all this in the vlog. I'm trying to like pump up the vlog a little bit. You're going to see that we were kind of very comfortable, but you can, it's the whole spectrum, Quiggs, would you go? Would you ever go to fucking Dega?
Yeah. I've like always thought it'd be a good bachelor party spot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it's on my list for when I do a bachelor party, get an RV with the boys, do a weekend in Dega.
That'd be
very fun.
Incredible.
Yeah. Bring a couple of hookers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of bring your own.
Just say, we'll go to the strip place inside the ground.
BYOP. That's what I call it.
I did see clips, though, of people, they were doing their best time. I feel like we need to do this next time we have a track that's just steep as hell. I feel like we have to do your guys, like, lap times, like who can go from bottom to top the fastest. I was seeing people, like, losing their shoes trying to climb to the fence.
Yeah, conditioning's an issue, too, with that.
Those videos always do good on social when it's just, like, how steep the track really is, and people are like, "What the fuck? I didn't know it was that steep."
Yeah,
I'll take a tumble for the bit. I'll roll down like a roly poly.
I appreciate you throwing your body out there. Brianna and Grace were there with us, so Plan Bri Uncut this week. They shot from the back of a golf cart, and they're just chatting about their experience in Talladega, and I think they also have a corresponding vlog as well. So that's already out. And if you're listening to this on the day the Rubbin is Racing drops on Thursday, the vlog will be out tomorrow on Friday. So everybody enjoy that. But we're on to this podcast. And this podcast is brought to you by Cabo Wabo Tequila. Cabo Wabo 250 is coming up in Michigan in a couple of months. So Cabo Wabo Tequila is unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. And it isn't just tequila. It's damn good, thick cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. Cabo Wabo Tequila is the official tequila partner of NASCAR. And a bold splash to race day watching with Cabo Wabo Tequila. And if you're heading to Kansas this weekend, celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. Wants to remind you, though, to leave the driving to the professionals this weekend. Please enjoy the thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo Tequila responsibly. So grab your buds and a bottle of Cabo Wabo for the boldest race day experience. You got to be 21 years or older, and you got to handle this stuff responsibly. But it is delicious, and it's going to make your race day even more enjoyable. That's it. We're on to the podcast. DMs. We were just talking about the pitch of the track and all that kind of stuff. I got a DM from a guy named Matt Baltic. I think that's the way you pronounce his last name. I go back and forth on DMs with him. And the reason that I'm bringing him up is the guy always brings like positive energy. For people who follow NASCAR on social media, there is a lot of negativity. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity, more than I see in other sports. Or maybe I'm just biased because I pay attention to this more than just about anything other than boxing. So much fucking negativity around NASCAR. This guy had told me that he was at Dover this weekend, sent me a bunch of pictures so I could actually see the angle of the straightaway, more so than how it goes up in the corners traditionally in tracks. And it was just a honey of a day. It looked like it was 90 to 94%. 95% sold out. If it wasn't sold out, I didn't get any kind of official stats from Dover. And it was just kind of refreshing to see just people sending stuff that they're having a great time showing up at tracks in 2024 and just enjoying the whole NASCAR experience right down to the, right down to the ending from the very beginning. So I love that shit. So if you want to send that stuff in to me, I'll eat it up. And from there, I'm just going to go right into headlines. I'm going to start with some bad news. Shane Van Giesbergen, SVG. His mom passed away a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately. Yeah, whatever it is. So his mom passed away on April 15th. She was young. She was only 64 years old. The reason I bring it up is that I had seen a picture of him standing next to his car this weekend, and instead of above the doorway where it would say SVG or Shane Van Giesbergen, it just says his mom's maiden name, which is Wallace. So you see like Wallace above it. I think that's a very classy thing for them to do. So I just wanted to point that out and then obviously express our condolences to the Van Giesenberg family. I want to talk to you guys about this because Roger Goodell, that douchebag, was on the Pat McAfee show this week. And he had said that he would be in favor of expanding the regular season, NFL season, from 17 to 18 games, making the season a week longer, and it would push the Super Bowl back a week, right? So it would push the Super Bowl, no, actually ahead a week. That ends up on President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, which makes it Sunday night, and then you have Monday off. This is Goodell's words. And they're already locked into it, I think, for 2025 and perhaps even 2026. But this is something that he wants to do. Makes me think. President's Day falls on the third Monday of February. It's a federal holiday, but the Daytona 500 has run on 48 of the past 54 President's Day weekends. If the Super Bowl was to change to the Sunday of President's Day weekend, I think we'd all be in favor of it, fundamentally, right? To not have to go to work the next day. What the fuck does Daytona 500 do? If the Super Bowl, like we talk about the Super Bowl of NASCAR, the one thing you don't want to go up against, right? You don't want to go up against me in a rap battle, and you don't want to go up against fucking Super Bowl for a ratings war or to get like people. The fuck does Daytona do? Does it stand its ground or does it move?
No, you got to bend the knee. Maybe that's a bad take, but I mean, you're not competing with. I mean, it's already hard enough to compete with football late into the season, let alone the Super Bowl, which is the biggest TV program ever. So yeah, I mean, I also think that like this is not relevant at all, really. But you look at like Dover only getting one weekend, like they showed out this weekend for that. So part of me thinks that shorting the schedule and just having these spots selectively. I'm not saying Daytona only go to one race a year. That would kill me. I'm out on NASCAR the second that happens. But I'm saying I think that we do need to kind of shorten up the schedule a little bit, and there's no greater power to force your hand at that than NASCAR themselves. I also think that based on Dover's success in the crowd turnout, there is some gain in, unfortunately, limiting going from 2 dates to 1. And I think that kind of needs to become more common practice. Again, not at Daytona, but there are some tracks that probably only deserve 1 date.
I think this would almost be a good thing. I mean, you don't run head-to-head with it. You don't start at the same time. But if you have it as, like, the lead-up to the Super Bowl, I think it's awesome. Because you kind of just sit around that whole day waiting for sports, waiting for some. I think they have a big golf tournament on Sunday that usually leads into the Super Bowl. But if you just had NASCAR on from 1 till 5 and then the Super Bowl starting at 6, I think that'd be awesome.
That would be.
So you're saying bump up Daytona a little bit, right? I mean, make it.
Oh wait, is that not the thing? This wouldn't. Oh, you're talking about time, yeah. Make it so that it is over before the Super Bowl starts and give it like an hour gap. But I think it's great. I think just having sports all day is awesome.
Yeah, but then how you run up against, like, okay, what if there's weather? What if they need a track drive? What if Juan Pablo Montoya hits the fucking car and they got to red flag the race? There's so many variables.
I think weather is easy. Whether you have a quick.
Is it quick?
A short leash that if there's weather that makes it run into the Super Bowl, we're moving it to Monday, and then Monday you have the day off. You get to watch it at home. That's great. And then you put an hour leeway on after it ends, so that it should be done for sure, unless something historically bad happens. But an hour should cover you for. If you go average race length plus an hour, you should be fine.
I don't know. I think that the season, unfortunately, probably needs to be shortened a little bit to begin with. So it's just about picking the spots.
I agree with that. Daytona's not the place to.
Yeah, exactly. I do think you need to move it should the Super Bowl be infringing on your date, but.
I like the idea of a full day of sports. Like, I like watching the Daytona 5. So every Super Bowl Sunday, typically I would go to the movies beforehand because they'll always show, like, an old football movie. So you see, like, Remember the Titans in a theater, kind of gets you a little blood flowing, which I need at my age. And then you go into this kind of Super Bowl like you're ready to run through a fucking wall. So I don't mind that idea. I think there's a lot of variables. You know me. I would sneak in some snacks. So a lot of variables. What happens if Daytona is no longer the first race of the year, though? Like, instead, if they do the clash somewhere in West, like Mexico or LA or something like that, and then they maybe put Phoenix on, so while the teams are still out there, and then they do Daytona, they can't do that, right? Daytona's got to be.
There's nothing to gain.
NASCAR headquarters might burn down if they did that.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to start.
They would
Daytona.
Jan 6 the NASCAR HQ.
They got to start with Daytona.
What are you thinking?
I will say this. I guess double check to be sure. So next year, Fox does have the Super Bowl in Daytona. Fox owns the rights to air Daytona. This could be a power play move if they could get the heads of the leagues to just combine and be like, listen, like we could.
I think.
I know it's not all up to Fox, but it's just.
Like, why would you put all your eggs in one basket? Why wouldn't you not give Daytona their own day in the sun and then Super Bowl its own attention? Like, yeah, sure, it sounds great if we're sitting on a couch binge watching TV, but I don't think that sounds great to TV executive. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will do it.
It might sound bad to the 100,000 plus people who are trying to fight traffic at a Daytona who will not be able to get in front of a TV for the Super Bowl then, too. Not that that's the grander scheme of things. I know it's not, it's just a pimple on the ass as far as viewership. But you know what I mean? Like, and I can understand Quiggs is very selfish. He's like, I just want to, as I am too, like you just want to watch stuff all day.
The whole fucking broadcast would be commercials between the Super Bowl and Daytona 500.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of commercials that day.
That would be the worst.
Be sick if they played the Super Bowl on like a jumbotron at Daytona, and everybody could just stay after the race.
Hear me out on this
one. Watch the Super Bowl together.
Shit, from the infield.
That's a plan.
We'll do the Super Bowl at Bristol during the Bristol night race, like how they did that. Like who was it? Virginia Tech versus NC State or
Tennessee.
Yeah. But instead, it's NFL Super Bowl.
We build a stadium in the infield of Daytona where they host the Super Bowl every year, immediately following Daytona 500.
Yeah, I think Daytona's that little strip of grass on the front straightaway you can fit a football field in.
What
They've
about
done like that graphic on the broadcast before?
Super Bowl at LA Coliseum during the clash?
That we say.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean, but don't you think that's going to be interesting? And I don't even know if it gets done, but I think it's just one of those things that we can. I mean, potentially we're going to see the Super Bowl and Daytona 500 either way. But I love the idea of being off the next day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So or even just go Super Bowl Saturday, then the Daytona 500 on Sunday. I don't know.
Before we go further, I want to take the time to shout out our good friends at Vanderhagen. Make the switch from a cartridge razor to a safety razor today with Vanderhagen. Safety razors allow you to get a closer, more comfortable shave. The use of one-blade razors help prevent nicks and cuts while making your face feel smoother than ever. The best part, these blades cost as little as $1 a piece and last anywhere from 3 to 5 shaves. They'll save you thousands of dollars over the years compared to the cost of cartridge razors. The blades are ice-tempered stainless steel blades from Germany that are sharp enough to give you the perfect shave. The handle is made to last a lifetime, and the only recurring purchase you will have is for the blades. Check out your local Target or Rite Aid to get yourself a Vanderhagen safety razor today, or go to vanderhagen.com. Now back to the show.
All right, this one I loved when I heard. NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race schedule finalized last week, and they will overlap with Kyle Larson's commitments to qualify for the Indianapolis 500. So Kevin Harvick will serve as the standby driver for the number 5 Hendrick Car team at North Wilkesboro. Harvick will fill in for Larson during the practice session at North Wilkesboro on Friday, May 17th, but Larson also indicated that he may not be back in time for the heat races on Saturday, May 18th. So Harvick is going to at least run practice laps at North Wilkesboro in the 5 while Larson is in Indy. And when they announced this live on the air, Harvick took the time to shit on Boyer a little bit. Like he was, Clint Boyer's like, it's tough, filling in for Larson. And Harvick went back, yeah, it'd be easy driving your car because you're never up front. Like, he did like one of those little zingers. I like the little back and forth that those guys have. From what I understand, I think Larry McReynolds had mentioned it on, one of these Race Hub, that Harvick would not be able to actually pilot the 5 in the race if Larson wasn't able to make it for whatever reason, but at least he's going to be able to run these practice laps, which I think makes for a very interesting booth that week because Harvick was literally boots on the ground a couple of days before. How do you think that's going to play out as far as the broadcast goes? Because the broadcast has been getting shit on a little bit, particularly for the way that they're cutting to commercials and coming back, not as much for Kevin's job. But don't you think that ups the ante and makes it even more interesting?
I think one of the best pros of having Kevin Harvick in the booth is the fact that he's one of the few guys that has driven the next-gen car that can kind of break it down for the audience that otherwise doesn't understand it. So, I don't know. To me, there's no one better qualified to do this. I love that Hendrick looked outside of the stable and hired a Ford driver, especially one that's as beloved and iconic as Kevin Harvick. So, yeah, I think it's a win for everyone, and I think the broadcast will definitely gain an edge from having Harvick's kind of personal anecdotes from what this weekend entails for him.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. Pretty much what Spider said. I got a question about Larson. So, is he going to just be taking, 6 jets back and forth? So, he's Indy for qualifying, flying back in theory to do the heats, flying back to Indy to race in the Indy car, flying back to that's a lot of
I'm going to need Kyle Larson's tail number.
Yeah.
So we've
seen the flight tracker.
We've seen the Taylor Swift flight trackers. I need to be following Kyle Larson to make sure he's on time and everything over the double duty.
Kevin Harvick, seeing him in person, he's not as big as a Kyle Busch or like a Michael Waltrip's the biggest driver I've ever seen. But Kevin Harvick is much bigger than Kyle Larson. And it's not like they're going to be switching seats. So keep an eye out for that, too, because I have some first-hand experience seeing a good friend of mine hop into a car with Dale Jr., go ripping around at Darlington. Where the fuck were we again? Darlington,
Richmond.
Yeah. And then Richmond, I'm sorry. And then I tried to jump into the same seat, and it was no bueno. So I know that it's not the dichotomy between my morbid obesity and Spider and Kevin Harvick, but Kyle Larson's a little guy. He's a little fella, right? I mean, I've lifted his mom up, and she's heavier than him. So I think that might be a small issue too.
Hey, yo.
I'm sure Nascar will find a work around it. No, all respect.
No, that's a good point. Imagine Harvick comes in and like wrecks it, puts it in the wall or something. He's a little rusty, and then they got to go to a backup car, and it's just not.
It's
I
just
don't know.
ass.
That'd be good.
I don't know what my expectations are for Larson's double duty, but they're pretty high. Like, I'd like to see him maybe at least win the Cup race, and then I don't know. I don't know what's realistic. Sound off in the comments for what you think. Kyle Larson's double duty.
It might just make him be mid and
Is
both.
it just
It might just be too much to do.
Part of me feels like just even finishing the race in both.
Oh yeah, I think doing it's just a
accomplishment. Yeah, for sure. But I'm sure Kyle Larson, a guy like him, has pretty higher expectations than just to finish the race.
No, yeah, and the way that he's been qualifying or practice running so far, I think he's putting the expectations even higher than were originally set. The last thing I'm going to mention as far as headlines, somebody threw a mannequin on the track at an IndyCar race. What the fuck's that about? Like, so it seemed like there was a bridge, sort of like there was at Dover. There's a bridge over the track at Dover, I believe, also. And they threw a mannequin. It's got to be terrifying for the driver who came through and ripped the mannequin's hands off. Like, he clipped the mannequin in the fucking hands. You know, when you're going over 100 miles an hour and you see this thing, there's no differentiation. I don't. It makes me think that NASCAR's better than IndyCar. Like, it just seemed like a wild fucking thing to do that was potentially a fatal thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
so I looked into this. It's actually kind of cool. It's a little not twisted
Enlighten
history,
us, Quigs.
So it's a track in Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park.
I believe this track has a giant steel spider.
They do. So it's
I've iRaced on there once
the
or
guy
twice.
who owns it. Its name is George Barber, and I think he's a little bit of a nut, but he almost like haunted houses the track a little bit. Like, he's an artistic guy, and so that I forgot the name of it, but it had a name, maybe like Georgette or something, and he was like, we should just put a mannequin there hanging in the middle of the bridge so that when the drivers come around the turn, they'll think somebody's hanging off the bridge. And it's been up there for, I think, 3 years, and finally came loose and fell on the track. But
so it wasn't thrown?
No, it was tied up there. So it's supposed to look like she hangs off the bridge, which is still, like, if you don't know, it's there, scary, but yeah, it's an interesting guy, I think.
Yeah, I love it. If I ever became a rich, eccentric old man, like, which I'm planning to do, I like to think that this is how I would spend my millions, would just be building a crazy motorsports park. And then also, like, this is one that stuck out to me when I was iRacing. They have crazy art installations all throughout the track. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is like ants in the field besides the turn, like holding up giant bottles of Coca-Cola. There's a giant steel spider right inside one of the turns there. Like, very, very cool art installations. It's kind of like large when we went to Sonoma and we were touring the wineries. Not only were they wineries, but some of them were museums with $1 million art installations or paintings or whatever it may be, sculptures throughout. So really, really cool. And honestly, you speak about bucket list. Barber kind of seems like a place I would like to go at some point.
And you say it's in Alabama. I got some wood to chop there, right? Roll Tide. That's kind of my thing. I've jumped on that bandwagon. So if you guys want to make the trip, we could stay at the Pike House, right?
Hell yeah.
Which is situated in between some of the most beautiful people in the world. All right, on to the recap. And we'll start with Saturday. Sort of a repeat of last year. Ryan Truex repeats at Dover. Very, very happy for Ryan Truex to get. And then in the post-race interview, he kept stressing how much, he would be able to, execute at this high level or at a higher level if he had a full-time ride. So I think he was using the platform, rightfully so, to try and get himself a full-time ride. So with the rain delays and all the stuff that we had seen on Saturday, we were kind of looking to maybe have a Truex sweep again with a Monday Martin show up. But then Sunday, obviously, the sun came out, and it was an absolute honey of a day, so we didn't see that. Martin wound up not winning, which I'm not burying the lead. Everyone knows that. But, Spider, you had watched the Saturday race.
Yeah, I did.
People are saying that it's so much better than the racing that we had seen on Sunday, which has been a little bit of a theme this year, this season. What did you think? What did you think of the race? Any takeaways from it?
I agree. I thought that Saturday's race was much more exciting than Sunday's. I thought that there were several different drivers that I thought could have won. And there's just Xfinity for me is just so interesting. Like, I don't necessarily understand it all. Like, some of the best drivers only being part-time makes no sense to me. Like, Ryan Truex, like you said, Large, going back-to-back. And then also Dale Jr.'s guy who I love, and stick with me as I attempt to pronounce his name, Carson Kvapil. Yeah. Okay. This kid has 2 top 5s in the 2 Xfinity starts that he's made. So, like, to me, I'm equally as intrigued by these guys that come in and do this part-time. Also, that car that Ryan Truex won in, he's the third different driver to win in that car this year between John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Truex, and Eric Almirola. So, kind of a weird, interesting, unique theme to me that it's like the part-time guys seem to have a lot of success, and that seems to be what is interesting for me to watch. Like, when Eric Almirola makes the starts, I always try to make sure I'm watching. But yeah, the Xfinity Series has got a lot going on. Very exciting. They easily could have just called the race for rain. They did everything they could to kind of get the cars back on track, and unfortunately for Cole Custer, it came at his expense. But for the fans, we got a very exciting finish to that race, and I don't know. The Xfinity Series really continues to deliver, and I'll be watching for the foreseeable Saturdays.
Can we all agree that Xfinity Series has at least one villain? Like Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, they're people that some people love to hate. We can talk about whether or not that's still true with Denny and Kyle, but it seems like Austin Hill is the guy. Like Austin Heel is the guy that people love to hate.
I like that.
In the Xfinity Series. Jesse Love, the young kid who jumped into Sheldon Creed's seat. He won a Daytona last week, and we were all happy. I think we all won money off of it, and he did really well, making the rounds. I saw him on Door Bumper Clear. He's very good on that. He seems just a really good kid. He got into it a little bit with Ryan Truex, and then afterwards he was interviewed, and he had this quote: Ryan Truex shucked me up to the top and then ran out of talent getting into one. I know that's a popular, diss within the NASCAR ranks, but I'm asking you guys personally. So in an Xfinity Series that does have a lot of momentum, people are really enjoying the racing that they're seeing on Saturday, and coming in and being a talented young man, right? Does Jesse Love have to tread lightly as far as becoming a villain, like a spoiled kid, or an Austin Hill acolyte, since they're on the same team? Do you know what I mean? Because this is where you decide you like Ty Gibbs, or you think Ty Gibbs is a spoiled rich kid, right? Like, he has to dance that line because it's his fucking birthright with his last name. So a good-looking young kid like Jesse Love, is he doing himself any favors by throwing barbs against a guy who's probably very well liked? I don't think the Truex family is hated in general, but I don't think Ryan is hated in particular. Did the kid fuck up a little bit, or is he getting a little bit ahead of his skis? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't necessarily love it, and I've been pretty vocal about my love for Jesse Love thus far. I'm rooting for him. I think he has
And you also love shit-talking, too,
I do.
So, yeah.
I do, but I mean, I think it's just flat out a bad look to say someone ran out of talent only for them to go on to win the race. So, like, to me, there's no really... You can't really justify what he said there, especially Ryan Truex, as I just said, part-time guy, shows up when he wants to, and now has won back-to-back on this track where you're saying he's ran out of talent. But the moral of the story is that the Xfinity Series is where you go to cut your teeth. He's a young guy. I mean, obviously, he's going to say some stupid things. When I was his age, I said stupid shit all the time. I don't think this will be the last questionable thing that comes out of his mouth, especially when Austin Hill is his teammate, and that's the norm for RCR Xfinity program. But, yeah, I was on Riley Herbst. I was critical of him last week for not giving Haley Deegan a push and sticking with her. So do I hate Riley Herbst? No. The reality of it is just Xfinity Series is where you go to cut your teeth and learn and grow, and I think that's exactly what Jesse Love needs to do with this opportunity. And I stand by the fact you can't say someone ran out of talent when they won the race, especially under these circumstances.
It was,
it's one thing if it's a plate race or it gets called early due to rain. I mean, he won the race.
And this was a overtime restart, right? Was it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't
Excuse
know.
me.
I mean, it translates to him being like, we had an overtime restart, and Truex stopped me from being able to pass him. He ran out of talent. I mean, that's his job, is hold the lead, win the race, don't let the other guy pass you, and he did it. Yeah, I think the comment's dumb, but also at the same time, I don't know if it's a bad look. I think if that's just he loves personality and he is going to be complaining and calling out drivers, I think that's like, stick with it. I think being authentic and whatever is more important than saying the right thing, because even if people hate you, hate does as well in NASCAR as people loving you. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I think comment wise it was dumb.
I want to go back to Ryan Truex for a second. And while he was, winning, I got a text from someone, and I'm not going to reveal who, other than this is the same person that gave me Kyle Busch to RCR, Kyle Busch to Chevy first in July, when it took till September for other
Spidey Scoops. That was the origin of Spidey Scoops.
Yes. And this same source said to me that hearing Ryan Truex Jr. to Cup. Actually, forgive me. Is it even Ryan Truex Jr.? Can he be a junior?
I guess he wouldn't be junior.
Yeah. So maybe that's diminishing the credibility, but I'm going to go on with the scoop anyway. Word on the street in Mooresville is Martin has had enough. Bass Pro Shop's going away. The clear path is for Ryan Truex to Cup. Interesting. I'm not necessarily saying I believe this, but like I said, this person has given me very credible scoops in the past. Kyle Busch to RCR, which came true. They're now saying that Martin Truex could potentially step away from Joe Gibbs. They've been accurate on saying other historical Joe Gibbs drivers leaving. That's come to fruition in the past. Now did all this start with a grocery store leaving, but back to the JTD Doherty leaving the Chevy team.
We need to get your cork board out.
And now they're going to allegedly joining Joe Gibbs next year, bringing that sponsorship with them. Now, is that sponsorship replacing maybe sponsorship brought by Martin Truex, maybe the Bass Pro Shops? Is their credibility to what this source is reporting? Who knows? I'm not going to put a letter grade on it for now. I don't believe in it all that strong as of yet. But what I will say is the NASCAR silly season is heating up, and it's going to be an exciting one to see kind of like where the dust settles. But I will be working the fields, working the phones for the rest of the season, trying to bring you guys this.
I'm a Spidey Scoops hater, but that's not true.
You refuse to give it a letter grade, Spider? I respect that. Quiggs, give it a letter grade. Give us a letter grade on whether that's going to come to fruition, A through F.
I will give it a D, and the only reason I'm not giving it an F is if somehow Joe Gibbs is just trying to pretend like Martin Truex is still driving and they're selling sponsorships, being like, you want to sponsor Truex? And they just swapped it with a different guy just to keep his name. But I don't think he doesn't even have a ride in. I'm
with you. I'm with you. Listen, it was as crazy to me. I said, can we get him? Can we get him full time before?
I always, any scoop you give me, I am a contrarian, and I'm always like, no way that happens. And
you presented it with a grain of salt, so we'll take it with a grain
of
salt.
Absolutely, and I'm kind of with Quiggs's. I'm with Quiggs's letter grade. I have a big reason to be skeptical, but I also have reason to explore said scoop, and that reason is, like I said, the Kyle Busch scoop.
It'd be a disaster if it happens.
You think so?
Yeah, because you're.
Well, part of me felt like John Hunter was meant to be the guy that would eventually succeed whichever Gibbs driver would go next, whether that be Denny goes to 2311 or Martin Truex decides to hang it up. Now, looking at what we've seen from John Hunter this year, it's like part of me sees why they would be willing to explore drivers not named John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah.
Maybe
but
Corey
Truex
Heim
probably isn't the guy. Yeah, I mean,
Corey Heim, Ryan Truex. I don't know who's in the Toyota prospect camp right now. You guys know better than me, but I don't know. Will be interesting to see what happens. Joe Gibbs has 2 veteran drivers. It seems like Denny Hamlin wants to go race for his team more by the week, and Martin Truex has been flirting with retirement for, 2+ years now, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Do you have something else, Quiggs? Did I cut you off at all?
No. I
think one of the most positive headlines out of Saturday's Xfinity race is a guy that we like very much. Anthony Alfredo won the Dash for Cash. I think if they start giving away $100,000 prizes and it just starts to go to extremely wealthy people or big, companies, it loses its luster. But we know that Ryan Sieg, had won last week after what had happened the week before, and it was a very feel-good story that he won the Dash for Cash. And then you get a guy like Anthony Alfredo. He races for Our Motorsports. I think somebody said they have 16 employees total. I think the receptionist is also turning a fucking wrench. So to see a great guy like Anthony Alfredo win that $100,000 on top of having a very good season. He's got another top 10 for 3 weeks in a row, and 5 out of 10 weeks he's had a top 10 for Our Motorsports. And he seems to be the guy for dude wipes. I don't think everybody is tailored to drive the dude wipes car because it takes a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek type comedic, thing. Like, because he's constantly bringing them up. Hey, no skid marks this week, and thanks to dude wipes. Like, he's really, it seems like a very good partnership. So a guy that's been a friend of the show and is always so fucking gracious to us when we see him at tracks and whatnot, couldn't be happier for him. So congratulations to Our Motorsports and Anthony Alfredo for becoming just a little bit more wealthy this week. I don't know where that 100,000 goes, but go ahead.
Back to the Xfinity thing. I mean, not only was the race for the win incredible, but also you had the race for the 100K, the Dash for the Cash inside of the race that was equally as exciting. Riley Herbst, Anthony Alfredo trading places. They both had a pit, I think, late in the race. So that race was equally as exciting.
It's the perfect little wrinkle for Xfinity races.
Agree.
It's like a good amount of money for these guys that aren't making a ton, and it can take a race that maybe itself isn't that exciting, and then there's a race within the race that could be very exciting. So it's an awesome
It's
thing
like fight of the night bonus in UFC, like Dana White. But I don't know. It's a cool, you're right, Quiggs. It's a great little wrinkle.
So we just sat here and we blew the Xfinity series for about 20, 25 minutes. I will tell you, if you're like, oh shit, I got to watch it this week, you won't be able to. Xfinity is off this week. So you got to, you got to do just the trucks and Cup series. Let's move on to Cup. 3 cars hit the wall in practice, including the Kaz Grala wreck, where it, his hood came up and most of the engine had popped out, but the kid had popped out of the car and all was well. So it was like the start of this Cup race. It seemed like it was going to be pretty wild. I always pay attention to people who sing the anthem and the grand marshals. I don't know why I do it, but I just do, and I'm so glad I did this week because they wheeled out, and I say that respectfully because they were all older gentlemen. They brought out all these old veterans, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because they all had fucking great old soldier nicknames. I'm giving them to you right now. The first one was Air Force Major Lester Hollywood Latham. I love that. This guy's nickname was Hollywood, and again, old school guy, probably fought in Korea or something. I have no idea. The next guy was a Navy lieutenant. His name was Jim Zeke Lloyd. Somebody gives you the nickname Zeke, you're a fucking badass. Then it's the Navy commander Jack the Razor Gillette. Again, this old motherfucker would have been able to beat the shit out of all 3. Would have went through this whole podcast like a box of light bulbs back in the day. And then finally, the last guy was Navy Lieutenant Bill the Offender.
That one's crazy.
Oh man.
that one's crazy.
That could go a lot of different ways.
That goes so fucking hard. Bill the Offender Noir. So we're about to go 3 wide with Bill the Offender Noir. I mean, that would be great if we saw this guy. And he's like, yeah, I was collecting ears in the jungle of fucking Vietnam. So I love the fact that NASCAR gives people like this shine. And so congratulations to them.
Yeah, the
before
only guy,
race-
the only
Go
guy
ahead.
better than that was that Seymour Wiener guy from the New York Mets game a
Yes.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Seymour Wiener, that's right. We'll get to the actual race. Kyle Busch was on the pole, and Blaney was also in the front row, which bode well for Ford, but didn't really work out. Jimmy Johnson, we spoke about him last week. He won 11 times at Dover. He finished P28. So Jimmy Johnson just stopped this shit, guys, at this point. Is it one of
No.
those things where it's not as beneficial as he thought it was going to be, or is it something that I'm just putting too much weight on?
No, I mean, I think he's shown that he wants to continue racing, whether it be IndyCar, whether it be NASCAR. Who cares what he finishes as? He owns a team. He has pretty much all the accolades he could want. Like, let him do what he wants. Fuck it. I don't know. I think it's cool. Driver owner is probably what a lot of these drivers dream of. We see Brad Kay do it. I mean, obviously he's got a little bit more in the tank and he's not completely on the way out, but I like it. And I think it's, if I had the resources, not to be the Barber Motorsports guy, but if I'm Jimmy Johnson after a fruitful career and I've made a name for myself and have everything I want, if I want to drive, I'm driving. Fuck it. I'm not going to let a P28 prevent me from running these races. I would almost go the other way and race more and show these
That's
people
what I'm
that
saying. So he's racing again this week, right? So he is racing again this week, and he is long-ass odds. So this is the first back-to-back that we've seen him race. But without the consistency of really getting his feet underneath him in real race day scenarios in this next-gen car, I don't think that he's going to be able to make that leap up to the top of the field where his whole career he basically spent. I mean, the guy is on the Rushmore for the most part. Do you think he's going home and, hey, honey, how'd you do?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, I think he absolutely is.
You
think it's hurting his feelings?
like
Yeah.
I disagree. I think obviously he wants to race better, but at the same time, he owns the fucking team. He sees Eric Jones, John Hunter, Nemechek, what they can do with these cars. You don't think has reasonable expectations for like his results?
I just think he wants to compete, and he's having if it was an actual season of driver that really is trying to win, he is having an awful season. And a miserable one. Like the way he's been out early in a lot of the races he's ran. He's got his own teammates taking him out in some of them. And then in last weekend, I don't think he had any real issues, didn't get caught up in any wrecks. And I just look at one point and he's 5-6 laps down. That is not what Jimmy Johnson wants, the level he wants to be competing at. I don't think he's having
I will tell you right
fun
now,
doing it.
I have a 14-year-old daughter, and since Ty Gibbs sent her part of a corner panel, she watches these races even more with me. So I say, Bridge, just look out for Jimmy Johnson. I mean, obviously this guy was the guy. He's a Rushmore driver. I gave her a couple of stats, and she's like, "What was the guy's name again?" And I was like, Jimmy Johnson. She's like, "Where is he running now?" I'm like, "You're gonna have to wait until that scroll gets down to 36, 30. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't know if it's better the sponsors say, yeah, we'll just be on a Jimmy car. You know what I mean? So that's the big selling point as opposed to giving somebody their shot there. But I don't know how he goes home and feels good about himself, Spike. I'm not sure he does.
And I always shit on Legacy. But the entire Legacy program has been a massive failure. It has. So that's another thing for him to be disappointed about. I don't think he could be happy with anything that's going on with his team, his own racing. I don't think any of this is fun for him right now.
But I mean, and we give Legacy a little bit of quarter more than you do. They still have some time to really develop into a great racing team. I don't know if it's helping or hurting, but either way. But and then you know what? He's going to shock the world and win this week at Kansas. So I'm going to throw a couple bucks on.
I did. I almost took him last weekend, but I didn't. Yeah. But it's always so tempting. It's the odds you see on him, and he's Jimmy Johnson. You're like, what if? What if he just was prime Jimmy Johnson, but he's not.
Yeah. So getting to the race, one of the things I wanted to point it out is when Todd Gilliland spun off turn 4 pretty early in the race. Not that was whatever, incremental to anything that happened within the race. I will tell you, he was driving the A&W car. I went out for a root beer float afterwards. So A&W, I'm speaking to you directly. If you think that marketing isn't working, you're absolutely wrong. I watched it. My wife and I was like, holy shit, let's go get a fucking root beer float. You know, wonderful. And I thought the car was smooth as shit. Pit road was a mess. Yeah. Corey Heim, who was starting for Eric Jones, gets yeeted by Tyler Reddick. That's what Kevin Harvick said on the podcast. What the fuck does yeeted mean?
Yeet. You know what? I actually used that word in a blog like 2 years ago, and I had the same internal monologue. Like, what does yeeted mean? I don't think I used the word. I think if you look it up, it doesn't mean like chucked or thrown, which is the context I used it in, as well as Kevin Harvick, which honestly, hearing him say that made me laugh and made me feel better about my former use of the word yeeted. I think I said that Ross Chastain yeets fruit all over the track like a Mario Kart game after he wins a race. So, yeah, that was my line. And to hear Kevin Harvick say it in this race, like I said, it got a good chuckle out of me. And I love that Clint Boyer immediately called him out on it. Great
100% was right on him. Manoli, did you just look it up?
From the fine folks at Merriam-Webster, yeet is a slang word that functions broadly with the meaning to throw, but is especially used to emphasize forcefulness and lack of concern for the thing being thrown. Okay. So very much yeeted.
Carelessly
All right,
thrown.
well, maybe I was wrong.
So you used it. No, you used it correctly.
You were perfect.
I think Harvick might have fucked it up. So
no, Harvick got it right.
If Mark Martin's talking about Gucci Mane and Kevin Harvick is using the word yeeted, what the fuck's going on? Right? I mean, is
Harvick drops like a little like term every race.
It's definitely
he's got like a thing going.
They probably have like something. I mean, I haven't listened to the pod yet, but they probably have something where they have to work in a certain word.
Yeah, because he has one a week. That's like his
that's right.
youthful term of the race.
Yeah. That's happy hour. He does it every week with Mamba.
Yep.
Yeah. Mamba probably feeds him lines.
Yeah. So
that seems like a Mamba production.
It does. Eric Jones was in pit row with a microphone, stiff as a board because he has a fractured back. So I don't know how bad the injury is or anything. I haven't gotten an update yet this week. But wishing him a speedy recovery. I mean, he looks good and everything. He wasn't, in a full body cast or anything like that, but certainly wasn't up to driving this week, which makes sense after the wreck. It didn't
look like I don't see him on the current odds for.
Is Corey Heim on him?
I didn't see Corey Heim either. I also want to say I saw Bob Pocker's tweet that said that he was not yet scratched from the race, which would be hopeful. I hope, obviously, good health for Eric Jones, but I also hope that he takes as long as he needs because I feel like a back injury is not something to rush back from. No pun intended. Especially, I don't know, as a NASCAR driver. I feel like that's one that's very susceptible to re-injury.
There's a difference between your back feeling like better and okay and like your back being good enough to sit in a car for 3.5 hours and maybe like get slammed into the wall at any point.
Again. Yeah. No, I agree. So the race started, and like I said, we were coming in from a Ryan Truex win the night before, and then Martin Truex Jr. wins the first stage. So we were like, oh, here it goes again. But then Kyle Larson kind of brought everybody back to reality, and he won stage 2. And then obviously the winner was Denny Hamlin. I'll throw out his stats. That's his 54th career win, his 3rd of the season. Makes 8 seasons this guy's had 3 or more wins, which is impressive. And it's only his 2nd win at Dover. So with those 54 wins, Denny ties Lee Petty for 12th most wins all time. So he's now 1 away from tying Rusty Wallace, and he's 6 away from tying Kevin Harvick. The only active driver who I think we would agree he catches Rusty Wallace this season. And then I also think that he also catches and surpasses Kevin Harvick. But the only active driver with more wins is Kyle Busch with 63. So Denny is 9 wins behind Kyle. Neither of them are retiring anytime soon, meaning not this season or perhaps not next season. Do you think do you think Denny catches Kyle? Because Kyle's going to be winning, right? I mean, he's not having a great season this year. I get it. Do you think Denny catches Kyle Busch?
Yeah.
Do you? Because to get 9 wins, right? So 9 wins. So let's say so he gets 9 wins without Kyle getting one. I don't know. I don't know how many more. Denny Hamlin had said that he'd like to get to 60 wins, which he's 6 away from. So he'd have to get 9 more wins to tie a Kyle Busch who doesn't get any wins in that same time period. I think that's probably impossible to me. Don't you think?
It all. I mean, Busch just isn't winning anymore
right now.
Which, yes, it will probably change.
I don't know. I could see him just being like, fuck this. Fuck the Cup Series. I'm going back to just run trucks full time and get my Truck Series championship. Become the first driver to have a trophy in all 3 series. Cement my NASCAR legacy. Who gives a fuck if Denny's got me beat by a win?
Do you actually see that?
Honestly, I could see that. Especially, it seems like Kyle Busch's frustrations boil over more and more each week that goes by. And he's not the kind of guy that I could see living with the winless streak that drivers like Brad Kay have, or Alex Bowman, or you know what I mean? He's gonna flip a switch prior to that, I think. I don't know. I mean, I don't see him going, and it's not like there's another Cup team better that's gonna magically open up a seat for him. So
what about Truex's seat?
I don't see him getting back in bed with Joe Gibbs, especially back to the whole sponsorship thing.
Teammates.
The Kroger thing is like, if they were going to bring that sponsorship, and if they had that in their bag and they were able to do that, part of me feels like if they wanted Kyle Busch to stay, they could have found this Kroger sponsorship or stole it from JTT Doherty 2 years ago when Busch needed sponsorship desperately to remain at Joe Gibbs. Part of me felt like they wanted to show him the door and turn the page. So I don't see the reunion happening.
Okay. And we know that Kyle Busch has also been in a different mode in the last year or so, selling the big mansion, right? Closing down Kyle Busch Motorsports. I mean, the Rubbin's racing car was the last one to run on the truck. You know what I'm saying? So we were also toying with the idea that he'd start spending all his time trying to mold Braxton, the Bronny James of racing, perhaps. So I don't know. I just don't know if Denny has enough in the tank where he doesn't step away, particularly if he wins a championship this year. I don't know. Does he go out on top and just stays and on it? There's
if
no
he
way,
wins
right?
the championship, I don't think he just hangs it up. I mean, I could be wrong,
but he'll be unbearable to be around. Holy shit, he gets that monkey off his back. Holy shit, it's good. But think about what the Netflix special did. The Netflix special created this celebrity in Denny Hamlin to a group of people who didn't know who the fuck he was beforehand, and now he happens to be the guy this season. Yeah, I know he's not top as far as championship futures. Actually, I think it evened out, right? I think the three of them.
The three, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Denny Hamlin are all plus 500. And actually, I don't know if this means anything, but Denny Hamlin's name is the first at the top of the list, despite whichever order I just read them in.
That might be alphabetical.
Yeah, it could be. It could be alphabetical.
Well, no, because it'd be Byron, right? You fucking
idiot. Well.
Yeah.
First name alphabetical.
Yeah, I don't know. Now my brain hurts, but.
So I don't know. So one of the things that Denny was quick to say when they put a microphone in his face and told him about tying Lee Petty, he said, "I couldn't hold Lee Petty's helmet," which I thought was kind of a nice little thing to say for Denny as far as respecting history. So I just wanted to tell people who don't know who Lee Petty is. I won't get into it, but I do want to give you one story if you guys don't mind.
Please.
We did the twisted history of that Alabama track with the gigantic spider, and we want to get there. Lee Petty is one of NASCAR's first superstars and was its first 3-time Cup champion. On top of that, he was the father of Richard Petty, the King, who was the winningest driver in NASCAR Cup Series history. So the guy was a great wheelman, and he also had some very, very powerful semen. Right? They should have put him out to stud like an old school fucking racehorse, right? Sold it for $250 a fucking ounce. Twisted history segment. Lee Petty is one of, right? So this is what I'm going to say. In the 1959 Lakewood 500 in Atlanta, 1959, Lee Petty lost to his son, Richard, in a race. It was one of Richard's first races, but then hours after the race was over, a protest was filed by Lee Petty, by his father, and he argued that his son was actually 1 lap down and was credited with an extra lap. So the officials wound up changing the results, and Richard Petty was knocked down to P3, while his father, Lee, the guy who made the stink, was declared the race winner. And then when asked by a local newspaper how he could do that to his son, Lee Petty declared, "I would have protested my mother if I needed to. I'm the only father in this group, at least that you guys know about, and I tend to put my kids above me. I would take a bullet for any of my fucking kids. You know, that's just the way that you are." I know this is revisionist history because it happened in 1959, and this guy deserves all the respect in the world. Is that a scumbag move? You know, like, again, it's 65 years ago. What do you? I don't know how I feel about that. I know these guys are competitors. That's his fucking son, and it was before Richard went on to tear off more wins than anyone could even imagine winning in the Cup Series. This scumbag move, guys.
I think as long as he's a great father in every other aspect of his life, it's fine. If you're a great father, you do everything, you put your kids first. But when you're on the track, it's every man for themselves, and I'll take anyone out, even my own son, and I'll protest, and I'll take his wins away. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's teaching him a lesson. I also think that, I mean, obviously we're new NASCAR fans. We're only really following what we've seen in our lifetime. Hearing the stories of what NASCAR used to be with people cheating and track promoters running off with the money and just all like monkeys being in the car, whatever it may be, like that's to me the beauty of NASCAR and these stories and the twisted history that comes out of learning about the greatness that is NASCAR is really just another awesome thing about it that makes me love it even more. So, yeah, I don't know. I like this move.
I love the fact that in 1959 they weren't sure that a guy was a lap behind. Like they were telling stories about how they'd have to wait till the next day when they could watch some sort of tape to sort of get replays and stuff. Like nothing's set in stone until the post-race inspections. So everything has an asterisk until we get, hey, everybody's clear in the winter. But back then it would take a day or two before they were able to like really confirm. And then obviously this is a perfect example. A guy told on his son. So all due respect to the Petty family. Again, like just absolute monsters. But Quiggs, maybe to your point, the Jesse Love argument we had earlier, or discussion we had earlier, you're different when you're behind the wheel of a car. Like I get more angry. I'm more racist behind the wheel of a car. Somebody cuts me off, I automatically look to see what they are because I want to, you son of a, that's an Italian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so Jesse Love, I want to give the kid some quarter because he just got cut off also while going 100 some odd miles an hour in a fucking big thing. You know, you get heated. And, you know, maybe too, the competitive nature of it, plus being in the car and risking your life every week, just adds to it. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to go into the over-under, but every week what we're going to start doing, we started doing it a couple weeks ago, is we're trying to pick out who we think was the coolest person this week. We're going to rotate. I'm going to go this week. Next week's going to be Spider, and then Quiggs. We're going to rotate around, and it's called Nobody's Cooler, and it's brought to you by Arctic because Arctic Cooler is on board, and we're crazy about it. These coolers are overbuilt, not overpriced, meaning that they're durable products, cost 30 to 50% less than the competitors. And I'll mention the competitor because I was at a card party in Brooklyn, and one of the things they were giving away was a Yeti, and I was like, fuck that thing. Those things are overpriced pieces of shit. So Arctic makes premium coolers and drinkware engineered to perform and overbuilt to last year after year. Ultra tough coolers that are roto-molded, ultra light coolers that are built 30% lighter, and ultra light wheeled coolers that have all-terrain wheels that don't snag, crack, or of course go flat. Plus Arctic's insulated drinkware, which I have right here for those watching on Rumble, locks in the temperature whether your drinks are icy cold or hot. So now the big news is that it's available at Walmart. So go to Walmart and pick yourself up an Arctic cooler, some Arctic drinkware. It's absolutely great. Or go to arcticoutdoors.com. That's RTIC. There is no A in this. RTICoutdoors.com. And don't forget that Arctic Outdoors is the official cooler and drinkware of NASCAR. I'm going to give the Nobody's Cooler this week to Alex Bowman spotter Kevin Hamlin. I love the jawing that had happened. Bowman was behind Kyle Larson going into the end of stage 2 that Larson had won, and he was pissed off the way that Larson was blocking him. He also got squeezed by Denny and Larson in pit row at some point, and Bowman had gone over his radio. Much appreciated 5-car. Like, he was bitching a little bit, which I think he has the right to do. Again, we just spoke about that, right? But then this guy, Kevin Hamlin, comes over the radio. He's not going to pull over for you. You got to fucking earn it. And then later on, he went over the radio, whining about a teammate racing for the win. Just shut the fuck up and drive it. Whew. That's. I mean, I've seen like Truex get into it a little bit with his pit crew and stuff like that, or his crew chief. Did he go too far, Kevin Hamlin here? Like with Alex Bowman? Spider, I'll go to you.
I mean, you guys know how I feel about Alex Bowman, so I'm going to try to be as bipartial.
No, but all that aside, right?
All my existing opinions on Alex Bowman aside, I don't think he's gone too far. No one knows better than your spotter, like, what you're capable of, in my opinion. And seeing the 3 cars, I mean, basically Kevin Hamlin shared the opinion of Denny Hamlin, which is like, you're the worst guy on your team. You're getting your ass kicked by your teammates week in and week out. That's the vibe I get, at least from hearing this, is like a spotter that knows that their driver is either has better equipment than what they're performing with, or is just flat out not driving as good as they could be, and then making like pretty much bitch-made excuses, which Kevin Hamlin suggested. So I think Kevin Hamlin, it's like kind of like tough love. Like, dude, shut up. You have good equipment. Stop being a pussy and fucking drive the car. And that's pretty much, I don't know.
Just shut the fuck up and drive it. Should that be on a T-shirt this week?
Yeah, honestly, Alex Bowman is a guy that loves making T-shirts, especially when his name is in kind of the news like this, or there's a dispute with him and another driver. So, yeah, it seems like another T-shirt opportunity.
Saying it was just like, if you drove and acted a little bit more like Larson, maybe we'd win some more races. Kind of.
It did kind of feel like Kevin Hamlin just had Larson's wiener in his mouth a little bit.
Like, you also want your spotter to kind of be on your side, even if it's
like your spotter
wrong.
should be your biggest fan.
Yeah,
and you're not over there just like, glucking.
You kind of need
Kyle
to be
Larson.
like your boy when you're arguing about something, or like want to fight someone. Even if you're in the wrong, you kind of want your guy to be like, yeah, you got him,
right?
But he I don't know. He also kind of got into it with Larson's spotter up on the.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was interesting to me. So as much as Hamlin on the radio was telling his driver, like, you're the asshole, you're in the wrong, stop being a bitch, he went over and had a conversation with Larson's spotter, and clearly it looked like, I mean, granted, we can't hear what they're saying. There's no subtitles.
There's a little aggression in
it looked like he was like, hey, man, what the fuck was that about? Which is interesting because that part, like Hamlin, that side was relayed to the TV audience, but does Bowman know that Hamlin actually had his back and went over there and had a conversation? We don't know. So, I don't know. But I love it from Hamlin. I mean, it did seem a little bit like he was the biggest Kyle Larson fan at the race, but it also, to me, sounded more like, hey, like, stop complaining, figure it out. Like, you're better than what you're racing as.
I'm here for the smoke.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm here for the smoke. If they start duking it, me and Spider were up. Spider and I were up, and the spotter's nest, the crow's nest. Where were we for that, Spider? Was it Dega? No, it was the cold.
I don't remember.
We were up there with Freddie Kraft. It was Martinsville. Remember, it was fucking freezing, and we were up top with Freddie Kraft, and that is the crow's nest. I mean, you're way up there with just a little chain link fence blocking you from falling down to your certain death. So to have like a little fist fight up there potentially, sign me up for it. So anyway, that's who I got as Nobody's Cooler this week. I think it's just kind of cool and something that caught my eye.
Also,
go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Kevin Hamlin has previously quit on a driver mid-race, or has at least threatened to on the radio. I think it was Daniel Dye, yes, a couple weeks ago.
Weeks ago.
That he got fed up with in a truck race that was just like, fuck this, and like threatened to, yeah, pretty much. And then also in my quick Google search, it looks like someone on Reddit is claiming that Kevin Hamlin quit on Natalie Decker mid-race. So I don't know. I'm kind of here for Kevin Hamlin being like the diva of the spotters booth, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of if they continue to race together, is there, a change at Hendrick Motorsport between spotting responsibilities, or if the pot continues to boil over, which is low-key, I'm rooting for the third option of theirs.
I hope they don't change. Right?
No, I want them to keep beefing on the radio week after week. Hopefully, how sick would it be for the driver and pit crew to be fighting?
Yeah,
like post-race.
Exactly.
Same team, everyone's wearing the same fire suit, but they're just at odds. The 48 team just seems like, I don't know. It's trouble in paradise.
Yeah.
Who wants to do over-unders? Anybody got them? Spotty, want to start us off?
Yeah, I got three overs for you guys this week. And I'm going to start with everyone's super critical of the broadcast week after week. Week after week, we come on here. Oh, they missed this shot. They missed that shot. Well, guess what? This week, I'm going to start off the overs with cameraman Mitch from Fox Sports 1. Camera 9, to be specific. I don't know who saw the clip. Rowdy on Twitter, shout out Rowdy. He tweeted it at me, and it was a clip of Larry Mack in the booth and kind of behind him. So, like, where this TV is behind me would be, like, in the TV truck where they have all the cameras across the racetrack, and the producer saying, hey, cut to Mitch, cut to pylon, whatever it may be. Mitch's camera was just zooming in on some hot birds in the crowd. A lot of people were like, oh, he's just getting the focus. Yeah, maybe, but I loved where Mitch's head was at, and as a guy that films Rough and Rowdy and kind of has that responsibility a lot of times myself, I love it from Mitch. I think that the camera, we should see more of the fans, especially the hot, attractive girls on the broadcast moving forward. Show that the fans are, one, indeed there, and two, they're beautiful, gorgeous people that you would like to meet and see at a race. That could drive engagement itself.
Does that warrant a bonk to Spider? Because I'm the only one that gets bonked on this show because I'm the dirty old man.
No, I mean, listen, NASCAR should just start hiring models to just fill the fucking stands. We'll be back on top in no time. Every race will be sold out. Noah Gragson also in my overs. He should have been the coolest of the week, but I'll leave him at the overs. He's now 4 top 10s. He's not the Noah Gragson we saw last year. It seems like the fresh start has been much needed, and he's running really well. So I've been really bullish on what I've seen from Noah this season, and it's good to see him running well. Also, taking the over on Daniel Hemrick, a guy that finished P9. I was critical of him a couple weeks ago, so now I must give him his flowers. Solid showing from him. And I also want to give my last over to Mamba. Quiggs and I were watching the ARCA race Friday after work at a bar. I couldn't, unfortunately, hear his post-race interview, but he was on the track getting it from Connor Zilish, I believe, was the ARCA race winner. So I love to see that. And then also, as we mentioned, the happy hour Kevin Harvick pod. So he's been killing it with that. So it's great to see Conda Mamba continue to ascend with the broadcast coverage, and really impressed with him. I'm not going to give any unders. I'm going to pass on the unders. Actually, I'll
go to the unders in a second. I'll give it.
Yeah. Stick with overs.
I will add to Gragson, because it's a pro Gragson podcast. We like Noah and all that stuff. Is that he has the opportunity to keep this momentum going, right, with the tracks that are coming up, because he's at Xfinity Series wins at both Kansas and Darlington. So, some people say that his good, finish here is part of it due to an opportune pit stop or whatever, but still, that's all about strategy. But he does have the opportunity to keep the good times rolling.
Four top tens. 4 top 10s is
I'll take it.
Is not just a good pit stop. So credit to where it's due.
100%. Yeah. What do you think?
I honestly had pretty much the exact same ones as Spider. Okay. Shout out Mitch. Shout out Mitch. I would say, I guess, to add something, I would say Noah might be up there for the season long over. He might be the most overperforming driver of the season. Him or maybe Barry. And that's, I guess, for the smaller guys. I guess Denny's probably the actual overperformer. But yeah, I'd put it. He's having especially these last 4 or 5 weeks have been very good to Noah.
Mm-hmm. I'll throw Joe Gibbs Racing on too, because obviously they had the winner, but also Martin being third and having a stage win, so they picked up some points there. And then Ty Gibbs back into the top 10 is nice. Chris Bell, I think, is still running. Who wants to do any unders? Spider, you had one, you said?
Yeah, I got one, and it's Ford. Ford's still searching for their first win. They're MIA. Like I said, I'm going to continue to be critical of them until they kind of break through. And unfortunately, I don't really see it coming at Kansas this week either. The shortest odd driver is Ryan Blaney, currently, who's 22-1. We'll save that for the pick segment.
When will they win, Spider? So looking ahead in the schedule, when do you guys see, is it fair to say that we're probably not going to seriously consider them until Charlotte?
I'm looking at it week by week
Okay.
basis. And this
Fair
week,
enough.
like I said, if Blaney's their best shot to win and he's 22-1, I don't like their chances to win. So, yeah, I liked them at a plate track where there was more variables, especially with the aero advantage change modifications, whatever you want to call it, with the dark horse that have been hyped up over the last – off season or a couple months, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, I don't know when they'll win, but I'll tell you when they're not going to win, and I don't think it's going to be this week. And until I get a feeling otherwise, I'm going to continue to fade Ford.
Cool. What do you think? Who didn't impress you this week, Quicks?
Brad K was, I think he finished second to last of anyone that finished the race and didn't have an accident. So he had a bad day. Blaney, I'm going to put in there, even though he's seventh. It wasn't an actual, but he was second in qualifying, second in practice. I thought he was absolutely going to have a top five and just didn't. I don't know, just wasn't there. But yeah, that's about it I have for unders.
Is this all the dark horse? Is this all, just Ford's terrible performance in all three series, by the way? And, again, this is a car manufacturer that has won the Cup Series, swept last year, won the Cup Series 2 years in a row with Logano and Blaney, and now they've been dog shit. And the only thing that's really changed is the fact that they've gone to the dark horse. Is that never buy a car the first year it comes out because they're always making the tweaks type thing? You know what I mean? Is that
No.
I guess that's the only thing to blame, right?
No, I think it's pretty. I feel like, and this is me speaking out of my ass, so someone fact check or quote me on this. But last year, I don't think Ford was very. I don't think they went this long without a win. But I also don't think they were overwhelmingly successful either. Outside of the championship, I think they had the least amount of wins out of the manufacturers. And, so I think my point is I feel like historically they're kind of a slow, I don't know. I don't think the car itself is great. Like, it's not winning them races. And then I think it's, you have Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick are dominant,
absolute juggernauts this year, and it's trying to beat them.
Yeah, I think they've won
very hard to do.
8 of 11 races.
Yeah.
So they won 9 of 11 races so far this year. Two teams, Hendrick and JGR, have won 9 of 11 races so far. And I know it's not F1, but two guys now have won 5 of the last 7, right? So it's Byron and Denny. So 9 of 11 races. So who's that? That's Suarez, who won for Trackhouse, and Tyler Reddick, who won for 23-11. Outside of that, it's all Hendrick and all JGR. So I was gonna bring it up in the next segment because I like talking about what NASCAR fans are bitching about. Is NASCAR Cup Series top heavy? It always has been, right? Because the most money buys the best equipment and all that stuff. But is that like a frustrating thing to have? Like, if you're a Stewart Haas Racing fan, you have all the gear and whatnot, and just week in and week out, you see the same familiar faces in the winner's circle. Is that a legit gripe by NASCAR guys, or is it just luck of the draw?
I think it's fair.
Sorry, guys.
Fuck.
Allergy season here in New York.
Holy shit. I think it's fair for Ford fans to have, higher expectations. But, like you look at the Toyotas and the Chevys, and they're just dominant, as Quiggs has said, and the stats speak for themselves, 11 of 9 wins. But, I think it's reasonable for fans to be a little bit upset. But I'm not sure what the solution is either because, Ford is like, what are they going to do? Add another team? And to me, feel like they're almost spread too thin and have too many teams that are just like kind of mid.
Yeah.
Whereas they should focus on kind of picking some flagship teams to really build off, which I think they might be in the process of doing. There's a lot of rumors going around that Stuart Haas is going to leave Ford, and the gains that RFK has made with the investment in their program, maybe they are becoming the flagship Ford team, if not Penske. But it does feel like that the Ford camp has some ironing out to do.
They just don't have the drivers, I feel like. They really only have 3 names that could win at any track, really. I think. I mean, there's arguments for others, but I think you get Blaney, I think you get Logano, and I think you get Keselowski. I think those are... What
about Buescher?
I don't think he's in that elite category. I think he had a nice stretch at the end of last year, but I don't think he's a guy that, like, you feel like with a Larson or a Byron. Byron could win any week we go anywhere. Denny could win any week where we go anywhere. Truex could win any week where we go anywhere. Like Elliott, when Elliott's like Chase Elliott, we could win anywhere. Bowman could win anywhere. Like I just don't think. I think that's their problem, is they really only have 3 guys that are kind of in that elite, like, great driver category, and all the other manufacturers have 6, 7.
I'd like to see Ford add a team. And I think there's been rumor last year that they had meetings with 2311, which might have delayed Denny's contract, debacle. But, like, even a team like Trackhouse, 2-car team, pretty exciting drivers, like, get Ross Chastain and some top Ford equipment. I don't know that. But we're playing a lot of hypotheticals on this episode, so I appreciate you guys bearing with us. But
yeah, I don't mind shooting the shit about it. I will go back as... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Spider.
I was going to say, I do think something's got to change at Ford, though. We're pretty much a third of the way through the season, and they have nothing to show for it. If it weren't for their championship last season, it's like, would the concern be 10x greater? I don't know. They got to figure it out, though. You
want to talk about aero blocking or no? It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean it seems like it's kind of one of those things that's like just hard for the audience to understand, kind of, is my take on it. I don't know.
It just seems like everyone has that same complaint, every week. And then this week there's always those buzzwords, and this week's buzzword was by far aero blocking,
It's definitely the buzzword of the week.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it.
Okay. I mean, everyone says you can't pass, right, and all that kind of stuff, but Chase Elliott, 29th to 5th. I mean, Kyle Larson did not start very well, and he climbed from 21st to 2nd. So I understand that when everyone's in dirty air, you can kind of maneuver around it, but when you get into that front position, Denny can just kind of drive in his rearview mirror and hold off, one of the best drivers in the world in Kyle Larson. I had heard a stat today, by the way, which I thought was pretty cool. It was Danielle Trotta. I was listening to Sirius NASCAR radio on the way in, and Danielle had thrown out this. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin have gone P1 and P2 finishes 6 times in their career, where those 2 guys were the first and second, 6 times in their career. What do you think the breakdown is between how many times Denny has won versus how many times Kyle Larson has won in that situation, those 6 times?
I feel like I can think back to one where Denny stole the win, so part of me feels like you're asking this question with the fact that Denny is consistently kind of stealing them. I don't know. I think it's either 50% or 100% Denny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
those are my 2 guesses.
Off the top of my head, I would think that those guys split it, and it's about 50-50. But I think you're going to.
It's 6-0. Denny Hamlin is 6-0 when they finished 1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, it is. That's impressive, right? Because it's not when he finishes P1 and it's JJ Yeley P2, right? It's Kyle Larson. So they've been in that situation 5 times before. Not in the exact situation, I know that, but on top of all the aero issues that people are pointing out, let's just say that. On top of all the aero issues that people are pointing out, particularly with trying to pass for the lead in what might arguably be the faster car, Denny Hamlin is just a very good driver, right? And he defends. He's tough to pass. I know everyone says that Ross Chastain is tough to pass, but Denny defends his position as well as anybody else. So maybe we can just leave it at that. I will throw one other under in, maybe two, because Ryan Preece was basically on fire. His car, the foam in his car went on fire. He said the wheel got so hot he couldn't fucking hold it anymore, so it's a tough way to end your day. And then finally, William Byron with one of the best pit crews in all of the Cup. Fell off a jack, had like a 24-second pit stop, and then got collected in that crash at the end with Bubba and Chris Bell on lap 329. Chris Bell doesn't finish another race, by the way, and also crashed in fucking qualifying. All right, so that's it. So we'll walk away from we'll walk towards Kansas. How about that? Because we're going to Kansas, a place where Spider and I have been, and we've enjoyed ourselves immensely. So it's 400 miles on a 1.5-mile asphalt oval. This turned into a very fun racetrack. Anything can happen. Last year there were 37 lead changes with 12 different drivers. You'll see like 4 or 5 wide on the restart. 6 different winners over the last 7 seasons. Denny is the defending champion here. It's also that track we spoke about last season where the 45 car has won there with 3 different drivers. It's a very interesting track. We used to be owned by Penn, and Penn owns the Hollywood Casino, which overlooks Turn 2. So if you would go to Hollywood Casino when you go out to Kansas, you can watch the race from a very fucking cool vantage point there, even though the Hollywood Casino is a little bit sketch. So it's a good time all the way around. We were there, I think, when Bubba had won. Looking forward to it. It's the Advent Health 400. It's Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. Again, there is no Xfinity race this week, and the trucks are racing at Kansas on Saturday night. So Sunday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, the Advent Health 400. You can catch it on FS1. And we're going to close off by picking the tires and making our picks. It's brought to you by DraftKings. The regular season is in the books, and it's time for real games to begin with the NBA. Don't miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can follow what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool Betting Group on the DraftKings Sports app. This week, join the group, and you'll get a shot at $25,000 bonus bet. See group for official rules. And there's something else to sweeten the deal. For new customers, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's a great deal. Honestly, it's a great deal. These bonus bet things, you can like bet futures and whatnot, sort of like throwaway bets that you can put in the back of your head and not really care about. So new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Rubbin. That's code Rubbin to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Don't forget to join the Barstool Betting Group today. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. How do you guys feel going into Kansas this weekend? Who'd like to throw out a couple of picks? I know Denny had called his shot last week by guaranteeing everyone that he was going to win at the Monster Mile. I'm going to call my shot this week and said I'm definitely winning a bet. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, and I'm going to fade the Fords. Like I said, I'm eyeing up the 2311 associates. Including Denny Hamlin himself. If you look at the last 3 winners at Kansas, it's Bubba for the race we were at, then Denny won, then Tyler Reddick won. I think if there's a team that can do it outside of Hendrick or Gibbs, as we've seen, it's 2311. I mean, obviously we saw Trackhouse do it too, but all 3 of those guys have formerly won here. I don't know specifically what I'm gonna do with my card. But I'd probably take Toyota, and then outside of Toyota, I like William Byron, who's plus 700. I think looking at the odds right now, Larson is plus 380, probably for a good reason. Denny is plus 400, and Reddick is plus 600. So all relatively short-ish odds for those guys, shorter than I would like. Whereas Byron, I feel like you can just set your watch to him, consistently good at all sorts of different tracks. My personal leading championship favorite. So to get him at 700 when a lot of guys are a lot shorter than that, I think that's decent value for Byron. So I like the Toyotas and I like Byron. I'll probably take Toyota manufacturer to win and then a Byron outright. But stay tuned for Sunday for the actual graphic for the official plays. But look for 2311 and Denny. If not,
Toyota Byron. Right now is just about even money. It's minus 105, so you're right there.
Yeah, that's not as exciting, but
It's not as juicy. But the reason I bring it up is that I can't pass up on the Fords, even though we just got through shedding on them. Fords at plus 600. I really feel like this is a track. Listen, it's not a super speedway. I totally get that, but I think this is a track where anyone can win. So my two bets. Well, I'll probably have three bets, but my two bets right now is going to take Fords plus 600. Fuck it. I whatever. I just think that anyone can win. Maybe it's
honestly,
I don't believe in the Fords, but I'm taking them plus 600.
That's good value. You're getting like 40% of the field, whereas I'm taking Toyota for even money, and I get like 10% of the field. So Toyota makes up a smaller, percentage of the field. So Ford to be plus 600. It's probably a decent call to take a flyer on, especially back to the race we were at where Bubba Wallace won. I don't know about you, but we did not see him coming. We did not see that win coming at all. As you said, kind of came out of nowhere, and anyone could have won that race. It happened to be Bubba, so who's to say it's not a Ford car that we don't see coming this Sunday?
I agree. I think I'm going to do a head-to-head because the only one that I like plus money is plus 105. So again, just about even. I'll take Bubba Wallace over Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's been driving well. So is Bubba. I mean, Bubba got caught in that last wreck. Very, very upset with himself. Was very composed when he got to the side and had his interview or whatnot. I think Bubba Wallace is having a hell of a season. I'm going to take Bubba Wallace over Chase Elliott. I'm also going to do that the group winners. I don't feel strongly about this race, so I'm kind of fucking around with the toys that you can get all on DraftKings. So as opposed to just picking the winners and stuff like that. And it's too early in the week. We're taping this on Tuesday morning to get any kind of top 10s yet. So we do with what we can. And I'm looking at, so they do group winners, group A, B, C, and D. And in the C group, I'm going to take Ty Gibbs at plus 210. That's Ty Gibbs over Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, and Ross Chastain. I'm going to take him plus 210. I don't know. I mean, I'm not overly confident with it, but I think I'm going to take that. I'm also tempted to take another one there, but I'm not. And then
which one were you tempted by? Because I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it now, and there's one that's jumping out to me.
I have for my official picks. I got a Group B winner.
Group B. I was looking at Group D, as in Daniel. A guy that I'm not fond of, but Alex Bowman is plus 150. The three guys in the group alongside him are all Fords. So if we're truly fading Fords,
you have to jump on that.
You might have to jump on that, especially you getting a Hendrick car. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll add that to my my card that's currently plus 150 for Bowman to win over those 3 Ford drivers.
And you're taking somebody from Group B, Quicks?
I am, yep.
Who are you taking?
Are you done with yours? Do you want me to go through mine?
I don't know. We can go back and forth, but go ahead. Who are you taking?
I got the guy who you like here, Bubba Wallace, plus 400.
And that's so that's Chase, which I have him in the head-to-head versus Chase, so I agree with you 100%. But also Christopher Bell and Marty.
Christopher Bell, who can't finish a race, so
right.
If we get one of those,
he's also
DNF's easy to.
I think I like your two guys' fucking picks in the group better than mine.
Bell's also in the Yahoo car this week, which I think historically has not been kind to him.
Yeah, that's his wreck car.
Yeah,
I think Bubba in Group B winner and Bowman in Group D winner I kind of like.
Should we just parlay them?
I don't know.
Let's get greedy.
Like a little parlay one. All right, so and then I don't know, like just going down and trying to pick a winner. I'm you know what? I'm not going to. Fuck it. Maybe I'll add it to the card later on. Quicks, what do you got? Outside, so I like that one. I like that group winner. And what else you got?
I agree. I think this is a tough board to pick a winner on, just the way the odds are set up, and I don't know. It just seems like nobody's getting great value. But so Group B winner, Bubba Wallace. We just said who was in that. Kyle Larson, top 3. The odds aren't great, plus 110, but
right.
I think it should be pretty easy for him to do. I think it's going to kind of be a Denny, Kyle Larson show again.
So hammer Denny, 6-7-0.
And then final pick, top Ford, Josh Berry, plus 1,700.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like that one.
Top Ford, Josh Berry. Okay.
Plus 1,700. I think he's been racing great. I think the Fords are super weak. And if you can kind of get a bad day out of Blaney, Logano, Keselowski, the guys I said, I think it's going to be wide open for anyone to just like top Ford could be an 8th place finish at this track.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
Which
By the
is-
way, when I said Ford plus 600 to win, nobody's like, oh, good bet. So I know that I'm alone on that one.
I think it's a bad bet, but
it's terrible.
But
bet,
also,
yeah.
it is plus 600. Like the odds are there, but I just
Yeah, it's
kinda
just
gross.
too attracted to pass up. All right, so that's it. What's the next race that we're at, Spider?
Coke 600.
Okay, so we're going to be Memorial Day. We'll be down there with our veteran podcast, the Zero Blog 30, which will be a lot of fun. I'll remind you guys again to be on the lookout for the vlog that we're putting out on Friday from Talladega. And that's it. Enjoy the races this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week on Rubbin is Racing.